Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tejaswi and today we are going to discuss about the topic SAN security, which is ensuring data protection and access control. First, let us get introduction to a SAN. SAN, which is nothing but storage area network, is a dedicated network infrastructure which is used to provide access to consolidated block level data storage. So it enables organization to centralize storage resources and share them across multiple servers. So these storage area networks which, can be used by different organizations to store their data and backup and recover the different types of processes supporting critical business operations. So this emphasizes the importance of SAN in supporting critical business operations. Next, for this SAN, why security is important. So this SAN security is paramount for protecting sensitive data stored within the network. So this identifies potential risks associated with insecure SAN environment, including unauthorized access, data breaches, and data loss. So the misconception of the data can be easily recognized using the SAN security. And it has a robust security measures which are essential to safeguard against potential threats and ensure data integrity and confidentiality. So the importance of SAN security is a must when the data is dealing with a bigger organization to protect the data and not to accessible with other members of the organization. The security considerations of SAN. We have different key securities for considerations of SAN, which are data encryption, access control, and authentication. Data encryption is nothing but encrypting data at rest and in transit to prevent unauthorized access and protect confidentiality. Access control, which is nothing but implementing role-based access control, RBAC, to restrict access to unauthorized users and devices. Next is authentication, which is using authentication mechanisms to verify the identity of users and devices accessing the SAN. So these are the main three forms which are used to the security of SAN. Let us know into each of them in detail. First comes data encryption in SAN. This data encryption is nothing but protecting the sensitive data by converting it into scrambled format that can only be decrypted with appropriate decryption key. So the data which is received to SAN will be encrypted and then it will be decrypted after receiving the particular user at last. So the techniques such as data at rest encryption and data in transit encryption help secure data stored on SAN disks and transmitted across the network. So this data encryption protocols like AES, which is like Advanced Encryption Standard, and SSL, TLS, Secure Sockets Layer and Transport Layer Security ensures this encryption of SAN data. So it is like defines the data encryption and its basic role is to protect the data within the SAN. So all the security, whatever happens will be happening within the SAN security, like storage area network. All the network will be encrypted inside and the decryption will be taken place when it reaches the end user. So it tells about different techniques, which I have already told, like data at rest. Data at rest encryption, which is like already data which is in not in use form, will be encrypted. And whenever it is used, I mean, whenever it is needed, the data will be decrypted again. Data in transit is like a moving data, which is in form and which will be in use throughout the process. So that is about data encryption. And next process comes like access control in SAN. This access control is nothing but it is the significance in restricting access to SAN resources. So it's like access control restricts access to SAN resources based on the user roles and the permissions. So whenever the user can give the permissions and access, which storage area should be accessed by whom and which people can have the access of different storages. So this is like a role-based access control, which is already known as RBAC, which we have discussed in previous slide, which is like assigns users specific roles and privileges to access the SAN resources. So, and the best practice includes implementing the principle of least privilege and segregating duties to minimize the risk of unauthorized access. So it's like the data which is used less will have the least privilege and these data will be segregated and the duties will be minimized to this data so that the unauthorized access will be reduced for these type of data. So it is like implementing the principle of least privilege. So this principle will be used in order to save the time and save the principles also. So it will be less cost effective. And here, if we see the diagram, this is the access control implementation. This will be used in different environments where information classification and confidentiality is very important. So the information, as we have told before, the information should be easily classified and the information is confidential also. And the prevention of unauthorized use of resource is the main concept of this access control in SAN, and the prevention of use of a resource in an unauthorized manner. So it's like a resource will be stopped without for not accessing, and as well as a prevention of use of resource in an unauthorized manner. We can completely block the resource or we can block the way the resource is being used. So this is what access control implementation is. With this, we can actually improve the SAN security. Next method is authentication mechanisms. By the name itself, we can tell authentication is like giving the access to different people with different credentials. So this tells about like user authentication verifies the identifier of users accessing SAN resources using credentials such as username, password, or biometrics, which will be used like Gmail, Facebook, whatever account we use, the data will be secured only to the person itself. We can select the data and access the data by using our private credentials. So this device authentication authenticates SAN components and devices to ensure the integrity and trustworthiness. So this multi-factor authentication MFA, for some devices will have a two-factor authentication as well to store the data, to secure the data. Even that is one of the SAN security mechanisms. So this is the security by requiring users to provide multiple forms of verification, which can be like email, recovery email, or a phone number which is verified through OTP, or different two-step verifications will be done in different cases. Here in the SAN security as well, it uses different forms of verification types so that the SAN storage area network will be accessed for only certain amount of users and not for everyone. So these are the basic three types of SAN security methods which we will be commonly using. So the best practices for secure SAN implementation, like the best practices which can be used for this SAN implementations is like conduct regular security assessments and audits to identify vulnerabilities and address security gaps. It's like wherever the security is needed or wherever the security is weak, these will be identified by conducting regular security assessments. Next is to keep SAN firmware and software up to date with patches and security updates to mitigate potential vulnerabilities. So the potential vulnerabilities wherever it is there or the security should be updated frequently so that wherever it is vulnerable, it can be built up strongly. Next is like implement network segmentation to isolate SAN traffic and prevent unauthorized access from other parts of the network. So as we discussed before, it will prevent unauthorized access, but it also like other parts of the network. So in a network, this part can be accessed by some part of users and the other part can be accessed by another part of users. So that can be implemented in SAN, and monitor and log SAN activities to detect and respond to suspicious behavior in real time. So wherever the fraud is being detected or wherever there are some suspicious activities in the network, those can be responded quickly in the real time. Next is the continuously improve security measures and adopt the evolving threat, maintaining a secure SAN environment. Like we have to increase the security measures, like updating the security measures, whatever which are needed to protect the data and to protect the storage areas from different unauthorized users. So these are the some of the practices which are used for SAN security. But overall, we can say that security for a SAN is important to protect the data from different people and different sources also, because some organizations store a very important data and the data backup and data recovery is a long process, and to get these practices in implementation, these are some of the methods we can use. So that's it about SAN security. Thank you.